It's Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Story number 1, Sean, a big one today. After intense pressure from within his own party, President Joe Biden said he is ending his campaign and backing Vice President Kamala Harris to run in his place.
Ms. Harris said she'd seek the nomination, adding, "Together we will fight and together we will win." The 81-year-old Mr. Biden has not recovered from his disastrous debate with Donald Trump a couple of weeks ago. Eventually, he caved to relentless pressure from his closest allies to drop out of the race amid deep concerns that he's too old and frail to defeat Mr. Trump, according to the New York Times. After calling Vice President Kamala Harris an extraordinary partner, he endorsed her to take his place atop the ticket. And I quote, "It's been the greatest honour of my life to serve as your president. And while it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus entirely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term."
What was the reaction like, Sean, particularly, I suppose, from Donald Trump?
Well, Donald Trump was quick off the mark. He telephoned CNN minutes after Joe Biden announced that he would stand down from the presidential race to declare him, and I quote, "the single worst president in history." He also posted an extraordinary, albeit typical, rant on social media, lambasting Biden as not fit to run and not fit to serve. His running mate, J.D. Vance, he wrote on X that President Trump and I are ready to save America, whoever's at the top of the Democrat ticket. Former President Barack Obama called Biden, his former vice president, one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me. The leaders of the United Kingdom, of Germany, of Canada have all come out in support of what Joe Biden has done and did. Now, Kamala Harris still needs to be endorsed by the Democrat Party. Not every politician has necessarily jumped out and saying, hey, she's the person to run against Donald Trump. We'll hear plenty more about that. And apparently, attack ads have already been rolled out against Kamala Harris by the Republicans.
All right, moving on to story number 2 now. 9 in 10 Australians now live in cities and towns, and over the last 100 years or so, fertility rates have halved and life expectancy has jumped by 26%.
There's some of the findings from an Australian Bureau of Statistics report that looks at historical population figures for as long as the data goes. There are plenty of interesting facts and figures. Australia's population in 2021, that's the last census, so it was 25.7 million. It was 3.8 million in 1901. The population has grown every year since 1901, except for World War II. The highest net increase occurred in 2009. Over the past 100 years, the median age has gone from 22 and a half years to more than 38 years. Females have outnumbered males since 1978, and the number of workers to non-workers, it's basically the under 15-year-olds plus 65-year-olds compared to the rest, is lower today than it was a century ago.
Story number 3, Sean. It could take weeks to recover from the IT outage on Friday, which some experts say is the biggest ever after a bug broke 8.5 million Windows PCs.
A faulty software update from CrowdStrike, a company trusted to secure systems, triggered the massive global disruption. CrowdStrike is one of the world's biggest security vendors, and it blamed an update on its Falcon software for the bug that grounded planes, disrupted hospital services, interrupted financial service transactions, and took some media off the air. Microsoft said while the percentage of Windows users directly hit was small, about 1%, the broad economic and societal impact reflects the use of CrowdStrike by enterprises that run many critical services. Now, the fix is for users affected by the blue screen of death to reboot their computers and manually delete CrowdStrike's failed file update. You can imagine that's going to take a while.
Story number 4, Sean. The pace of growth of house prices is trending down as higher for longer interest rates finally take some of the heat out of the housing market.
The national rolling 28-day change in prices is plus 0.5%, down from 0.7% a month ago. While sales and listing activity typically show a seasonal easing through winter, the trend in housing values hasn't historically displayed seasonal behaviour. CoreLogic economist Caitlin Ezzi says the recent easing in price growth is likely a reflection of lower consumer sentiment amid stubbornly high inflation and a jump in the numbers of properties up for sale in some regions. She believes some potential buyers are holding off and delaying purchasing decisions until the outlook for interest rates becomes clearer. Over the 4 weeks to the 14th of July, approximately 137,000 properties were advertised for sale nationally, around 17% fewer listings than typical this time of year. Mind you, it was about 23% below average previously, so that's improving somewhat.
Yeah, sure will. Story number 4, Donald Trump attended a campaign rally over the weekend, the first since the assassination attempt on his life, telling the crowd that he took a bullet for democracy.
Yes, any sense of more civility in their campaign has now gone, with Mr. Trump calling Joe Biden stupid and Kamala Harris crazy. He again insisted that he won the 2020 election and mocked the Democrats as they fight over who's the best presidential candidate. Meanwhile, Joe Biden says he'll remain in the White House race against Donald Trump, even as big Democratic donors and a growing list of politicians apply pressure on him to step aside. Not helping the president is declining poll numbers, which of course reflect concern over his age and mental acuity, while media reports suggest Mr. Biden has become more open to considering all his options. None of them are really confirmed yet.
Okay, last one, story number 5. A bit of good news here, Sean. An anti-aging drug that could help people live longer and healthier lives is on the horizon after scientists extended lifespans in mammals by 25%.
Yeah, so London's Imperial College discovered that switching off a protein called interleukin-11 prevented cancer, boosted vision and hearing, and improved metabolism, lung health, and muscle function in middle-aged mice. It may even prevent hair loss and greying, according to a report in the Daily Telegraph of London. The treated mice also lived for an average of 155 weeks, compared with 120 weeks in untreated mice. The treated mice had stronger muscles, better lungs, skin, hearing, and vision than their untreated counterparts, and were freer from the usual signs of ageing and frailty. Professor Stuart Cook from the Medical Research Council Laboratory of Medical Science at Imperial provided a warning, though, and I quote, "While these findings are only in mice, it raises the tantalising possibility that the drugs could have a similar effect in elderly humans."
Still sounds like good news to me, Sean. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't long enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. That comes with a bunch of interviews and things as well. Today's interview is a great one for investors. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the past 5 business news by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.